The winning blueprint presents.
Draft Zone.
Welcome to the Draft Zone. I'm your host, Lou. Thank you for joining me. This is the NFL Draft Game here with the San Diego Superchargers. Here's a team that will be picking 11th in the 2013 NFL Draft. And what the draft game is, essentially, is a game that takes a look back at draft history, at the pick that you're selecting at, and for a specific team, in this case, the San Diego Chargers. And we'll be taking a look at the 11th pick in the draft because that's where the Chargers will be selecting. So, over the last 13 seasons, dating back to 2000, so we'll be taking a look at the number 11 pick in the draft as well as the San Diego Chargers picks in that same time frame from 2000 to 2012, and we'll be grading it out using a baseball grading scale: single, double, triple, home run, and the occasional strikeout. To do so, I will be looking off of this spreadsheet that I put together with every single first round draft choice of every team since 2000. And I'll be looking specifically at the number 11 pick, which is where the San Diego Chargers will be selecting. We'll talk about each pick made, give them a grade, tally it up, average it out, do the same with the Chargers picks, put them together and see if we can project what history says the San Diego Chargers are supposed to do with that number 11 selection in the 2013 draft. Now, of course, history does not predict the future, but it can give us an indication as to what normally occurs at that pick. I'm looking for the Chargers, just like everyone else, to try and buck the trend unless the trend is a home run. And of course, there probably won't be any pick that averages out to a triple nor a home run. So, look, you want to make the best pick possible. And of course, we won't know what these picks turn out to be for at least 4 years. But it's always fun to look back and kind of try and predict the future as well. So, we'll look at 2000. And we'll start with the 11th pick there in 2000. Ron Dayne, running back out of Wisconsin. The Dane train. The Great Dane. Ron Dayne out of Wisconsin. Wow. Remember this guy winning the Heisman Trophy? He was Mr. Do-It-All at Wisconsin. And he got to the league with the Giants, and it just never clicked. Jim Fossil didn't like his weight, wanted him to lose some weight. Ron Dayne didn't want to. They wanted the whole thunder and lightning thing. It just never really materialized. What I'm trying to say is Ron Dayne is a single in this league. You look at 2001, 11th pick, Dan Morgan, linebacker, Carolina Panthers, out of the U. Solid linebacker, but the only problem is Dan Morgan could never stay healthy. He was one of the most talented and athletic linebackers you'll see in the National Football League. I mean, this guy could run sideline to sideline. He could make plays. Dan Morgan was a solid player, but the injuries really cut his career short. And he never was the player that he was supposed to be. We saw a glimpse of it the year the Panthers went to the Super Bowl. That was probably the best of Dan Morgan. He went to the Pro Bowl, was an All-Pro that season. But you never got that again from Dan Morgan. It was because of the injuries. And so Dan Morgan is a single because of those injuries in his career. So you look at the 2002 pick at number 11, it's the Indianapolis Colts selecting Dwight Freeney. Wow. Home run for the Indianapolis Colts selecting Dwight Freeney. What a pick he was. Coming out of Syracuse, he was an undersized defensive end. You thought, man, what is this little guy going to do in the league? And he started putting people in the spin cycle, using that blinding speed to get around the edge. And all of a sudden, this guy was a monster on the edges, getting off of the ball, getting to opposing QBs, forcing turnovers, double-digit sack machine. What more do you want me to say? Dwight Freeney is an absolute home run in 2002 for the Indianapolis Colts. You look at 2003, pick 11, Marcus Trufant to the Seattle Seahawks. Solid cornerback. I mean, this guy has played really well over the life of his career. And again, I'm a big stickler for longevity, consistency, and he's been both. He's been a guy that you can count on for the most part throughout his career. He's a guy that you know what you're getting from him week in, week out. Solid corner, not afraid to tackle. I love corners who aren't afraid to mix it up and go in and make a tackle. These corners play on an island. You got to be able to man up and go hit someone. And I'm not asking you to lay the lumber on somebody. I don't care if you got to pull them down by their shoestring. Just get them on the ground. I don't care if you're a slinger. I don't care if you're a monster and you go up and you maul people. I don't care if you hold on until the cavalry arrives. Just get them on the ground. And Marcus Trufant has done that throughout his career. He's been a guy that wasn't afraid to make plays on the football as well. And thus, Marcus Trufant is a triple in my book. You look at 2004. Wow, the Pittsburgh Steelers really hit it big with this one. 2004, 11th overall selection goes to the Steelers, who draft Big Ben Roethlisberger. Wow. Who saw this one coming? I can't say that I did. I liked him out of the University of Miami of Ohio. However, I did not think he was going to come into the league and take it by storm the way he did. I'm talking about this guy came up to the plate first pitch swinging. He came into the box thinking dead red fastball. He was sitting on a fastball. He got the offering. He did not miss. It was a fastball. He connected, and he drove it straight to center field. The center fielder never moved because this was a tape shot measure. Home run by Ben Roethlisberger. He takes the Steelers to the AFC Championship game in his rookie season, wins the Super Bowl the next year. Maybe he didn't play the best, but it doesn't matter. At the end of the day, it's saying something when you're able to lead your team to a Super Bowl in your second season. He's won another one since then, and I think Ben Roethlisberger is a really good quarterback in this league. He's a great quarterback, has the ability to extend plays, gets it done in the clutch, and that's the mark of a good quarterback. Getting it done in the clutch and making those around you better. Roethlisberger does both. This guy is a home run for sure. You look at 2005. Wow. Back-to-back jacks as the Cowboys draft 11 and take DeMarcus Ware out of Troy. Wow. This is the guy you draw up on your board when you play a 3-4. This is the way you want him to look. 6'4", long, lanky, can bend at the hips, is athletic enough to be your tackle around the corner. Strong enough, though, even though it looks wiry, strong enough to throw tackles out of the way, is strong in the run game, strong at the point of attack, but yet can get off the ball and cause havoc on opposing QBs. Offensive linemen have a nightmare trying to block him, whether he lines up right side, left side. DeMarcus Ware is what you want out of a rush outside linebacker. Prototypical rush outside linebacker. You draw up a outside linebacker that's going after the quarterback. You want to draw up DeMarcus Ware. And the Cowboys absolutely smashed this one out of the park. DeMarcus Ware might be one of the best outside rush linebackers these eyes have ever seen. And yes, I said ever. Potentially. His career is not done yet. I need to see more. But, of course, guys like Lawrence Taylor revolutionized the game. There will never be another Lawrence Taylor, but DeMarcus Ware is a special breed. He's a one-of-a-kind pass rusher, and it's hard for me to think that someone's going to be able to do it much better than he's been able to do it in his career. We'll see. Guys like Von Miller and Aldon Smith have gotten off to some really good starts, but for my money, those guys are emulating what they saw from DeMarcus Ware, and that's not a bad guy to follow as he hit an absolute tape shot measure in 2005. You look at 2006, 11th pick goes to the Broncos, who select Jay Cutler, quarterback out of Vanderbilt. Solid pick, but he hasn't been what he is supposed to be in this league. Mike Shanahan drafted him with visions of replacing John Elway. For some reason, it fell apart once Josh McDaniels got the job in Denver. He left and went to Chicago, did Cutler. He's been okay in Chicago, but they haven't been able to get over the hump. The offensive line hasn't been really good. Offensive coordinators have been in flux. End result, you get skittish Jay Cutler play at times. He has all the physical tools you look for in a quarterback. He's very athletic. I think people really underrate his athleticism. Jay Cutler can move. We know he's got one of the strongest arms in the league. That's not a question. And so it's all up to here. And when that catches up with the athleticism and the arm strength, you're probably looking at a home run. But until then, he's just a double. You look at 2007. Whoa, this draft is loaded with home runs. San Francisco 49ers take Mississippi State linebacker Patrick Willis. What you talking about, Willis? I'm talking about Patrick Willis. And this guy is a beast. I mean, I don't know what else. I don't know else how to say it. This guy is an absolute monster. You draw up, and I talked about drawing up the prototypical outside rush linebacker. Well, if you draw up a middle linebacker, this is the guy you want to draw, Patrick Willis. He's faster than most tight ends. Hell, he's faster than some receivers, too. This guy runs a 4.3 40. He's physically imposing. I mean, arms as big as Hulk Hogan in his prime. He runs around looking to tackle with malicious intent. Very physical, can blitz and get to the quarterback when need be. Can play in coverage and space. What can't this man do? I probably should be naming what he can't do versus what he can do, because I'd be here all day trying to list off all the things that he can't. But I can't think of any that he can't do, and so I'll just tell you that Patrick Willis is a home run. So you look at 2008, Leotis McKelvin. Buffalo Bills select him out of Troy. Why? Look, I'm not here to question anyone's first round selections. I'll just say this. He wasn't that great at corner in college. He was a great return man. Bills selected a great return man at 11. Who does that? Okay, fine. You select him. You're hoping that the corner skills come around. They don't. You still get an extraordinary return man. That's great, but you don't draft an extraordinary return man in the first round. But the Bills decided to do that. He's been a single to this point, having got a lot of value out of him at the cornerback position. But as a return man, you've still got the guy that you drafted from Troy University. You look at 2009. Aaron Mabin, selected by the Buffalo Bills out of Penn State. Whew. And you want to know why certain teams aren't good? I just told you the Bills selected Leotis McKelvin. They turn around and they draft Aaron Mabin at the same pick the very next year. And you want to know why teams aren't good? You have to look no further than the draft. Leotis McKelvin, a guy that can play some corner but isn't great at it. Really good in the special teams game, but you don't draft a guy that's really good in the special teams game in the first round. Then the next year they draft Aaron Mabin, a guy that's not even on your roster for 3 full seasons. Wow. Well, I don't have to tell you what Aaron Mabin is, because it's 1, 2, Three strikes you're out with Aaron May Ben. He's a strikeout, in case you didn't know. So we go on to 2010. 11th selection goes to the 49ers. They select Anthony Davis. He turned out to be a really good pick. And he was a tackle out of Rutgers. Many thought that he might not amount to much in the league. 49ers rolled the dice, drafted him with the 11th overall selection. Here we are 4 years later, and Anthony Davis is getting a new deal, and well-deserved. He is a solid player on that offensive line for the San Francisco 49ers. That's why Anthony Davis is a double. You look at 2010, 11th overall selection. Man, this pick has lit it up. The 11 slot, I haven't seen this many home runs since Barry Bonds in 2002 maybe, 2004, whenever it was. J.J. Watt, defensive end out of Wisconsin, drafted by the Houston Texans. Wow, another home run. When I saw J.J. Watt at Wisconsin, I thought, another solid defensive tackle / defensive end causing havoc in college football in the Big Ten, much like Adam Carricker, going to come into the league and not be as highly touted as he was in college. He's going to probably be a solid player, much like Adam Carricker is, but nothing dominant like he was in college. And then J.J. Watt comes and burst onto the scene, and I'm wrong. This guy is dynamic. He's a monster on the defensive line. And some of the things he does is unreal for a guy his size. The batted balls, okay, J.J. Swat, that's one thing. But to post 20 and a half sacks or 19 and a half sacks or whatever his total was in 2012, ridiculous. And this guy is really good. And he hasn't even tapped into his full potential, which is scary. So basically, I'm telling you, and I think I already said this, but I'm saying it again, J.J. Watt is a home run. Remember, chicks dig the long ball. And this pick at 11 is really taking it deep. You look at 2012, Dontari Poe, defensive tackle out of Memphis, drafted by the Kansas City Chiefs. I did not like the selection when it was made. I do not like the selection now. Maybe I will warm up to it over time, but right now I'm just not sold on Dontari Poe. He's a big, physically imposing man, though. He's a mountain of a man, but I don't know if he's going to translate well into the National Football League. We'll see. Jury's still out. He's only been in the league 1 year. We'll see what he does over time. Right now, he's a single in my book. And that's the 11th overall selection over the last 13 seasons. Wow. That is some draft pick number, I must say. We're talking about 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 home runs. No one even comes remotely close thus far. So, if you're the San Diego Chargers, you got to be smiling right now. Pick 11 looks beautiful right now. We haven't gotten to the Chargers and their history of picking players, but if this is any indication as to what they'll do at 11, they have got to be smiling. Let's look at the Chargers' history, though, and see what they've been able to do over that same period in the first round. So you look at the Chargers draft history, and we start with 2000, where the Chargers don't have a first-round selection. They traded that to the New York Jets. So we move on to 2001. Home run, LaDainian Tomlinson, LT. Probably one of the most prolific backs in NFL history. Shattered many records and did it with class and grace and style. Probably one of the best backs to ever do it. LaDainian Tomlinson will definitely go into the Hall of Fame here shortly. And if not for the struggles in the postseason, who knows how high this guy would be on the pantheon of running backs. But the lack of success in the postseason doesn't take away from the fact that LaDainian Tomlinson might be one of the best backs ever in NFL history. Thus, LaDainian Tomlinson is an absolute home run. You look at 2002. Quentin Jammer. Hammer Jammer. I think that he's a really good corner. And I hold a lot of value in longevity and consistency. I don't like to see huge dips in play. And I don't like to see guys have short careers. And I also don't like to see inconsistency. And when a guy can be consistent, do it for a long time, make plays on the football, tackle, and really be a staple of your football team, as Quentin Jammer was for the San Diego Chargers for the last 10 or 12 seasons, you got to give it up. And that's what I'm doing with Quentin Jammer. I feel like you can count on Quentin Jammer every week. The durability is there. You know he's playing. He doesn't miss football games. He's not afraid to tackle, very physical. I love that. Not afraid to make a play on the ball. Does he have the best set of hands? No. But not afraid to go make a play on the football. Nonetheless, Quentin Jammer, I think, can play another 2 or 3 seasons in this league easily. And I think that Quentin Jammer is a triple. You look at 2003, Sammy Davis. The Chargers could have done much better with their 2003 pick than Sammy Davis. Again, hindsight is 2020. Sammy Davis really didn't do much in the league. Lasted around 5 years. Was okay. Wasn't a complete waste, but that pick could have been better spent elsewhere. Sammy Davis is a single. You look at 2004. That's the Phillip Rivers, Eli Manning trade swap-a-roo. I'll just grade out Eli Manning. I'll just grade out Phillip Rivers since he is the quarterback that you ultimately got in that trade, even though you actually technically drafted Eli Manning. We'll go with Phillip Rivers. He's your guy. He's your quarterback. He's a triple. Now, again, quarterbacks are held to a higher standard. He does not have a Super Bowl, hence he cannot be any higher than a triple. But he wouldn't be anyway. Phillip Rivers has had a very spotty career at times. When he's on, he's one of the best in the league. When he's not, you get seasons like 2011 when he has over 20 interceptions, which is unacceptable for a quarterback of his caliber. Now, the pieces around him have not been great. The offensive line in front of him has not been great. And so he does get somewhat of a pass. But this is not immunity. This is not all on the shoulders of the supporting cast around him. Phillip Rivers has to do a better job of making sure he does his part to help his team win. Sometimes he puts too much on his shoulders, forces the issue, makes mistakes. Either way, Phillip Rivers is a gutsy guy. He talks a lot of trash, but you know what? I don't really have a problem with that. He's a competitor. He wants to win. I like Phillip Rivers. He's a triple in this league. You look at 2005. Chargers had 2 picks. They spent the first one on Sean Merriman. Lights out. Too bad Lights is out on his career right now, but we'll get to that in a second. The other was Luis Castillo. Double for Sean Merriman. Let's start there. His career started with a home run type of feel. The first pitch, he goes up, he swings, pop, puts a charge into one, hooking, foul. And he does it again. Foul, 475 feet, foul. And you're like, man, if he can straighten this one out, it is gone, and it's going a long way. But he never could straighten it out. He just couldn't. And the injuries are what really beset Sean Merriman. And maybe it was the PEDs. He gets suspended for performance-enhancing drugs. And I'm just saying, I've seen guys who have taken steroids and I've watched their bodies deteriorate right in front of my eyes. Eric Gagne is one name that comes to mind in baseball, and it happens so rapidly sometimes. I'm just saying. Maybe he did, maybe he didn't. I'm not here to speculate. All I know is his career went from a 10 to a 4 overnight. And that generally doesn't happen in the National Football League, but it did to Sean Merriman, and that's why he's a double. You look at Luis Castillo, man, I thought he was going to be great. Remember his sophomore campaign in 2006 when he had 7 sacks and he only played in 9 games? This guy couldn't stay healthy to save his life, but when he was healthy, he was dangerous. And you thought, man, we got something here with this guy out of Northwestern. And he never got back to that level again. The injuries took a toll on him. Finally, the Chargers had had enough, and Luis Castillo's career was over. And so I got to dock him for that. He's a single. And he had triple potential. But the injuries and the lack of consistency just wasn't enough for Luis Castillo to be anything other than a single. You look at 2006, Antonio Cromartie. Really good pick. And you guys rolled the dice. Remember, Cromartie, when he came out, was injured. Teams couldn't work him out. He was coming out of Florida State, but he was injured, and you guys rolled the dice, and you won. What a chance that you took. It paid dividends. This guy was a really good corner, but sometimes you got to cut your losses. You allowed Cromartie to walk. He's now in New York with the Jets, playing really good football out there. To me, Antonio Cromartie is a double, and I'll tell you why he should be a triple. But the unwillingness to tackle bothers me. And look, there are corners in the league that will admit I'm not the best tackling corner in the world, but they're not afraid. They'll try. Cromartie is a guy that will allow a ball carrier to run right by him. We saw it in the playoff game, and I think this was the last straw for the San Diego Chargers. They saw it in that postseason game against the Jets, where Sean Green is coming at him full speed, and he just decides not to go and try and tackle Sean Green in that hole. Green takes off to the races, ends up scoring a touchdown, and that really proved to be the difference in that game, and you can't have that. Corner's got to be willing to go up and tackle. He is not, and so he is a double. You look at 2007. Yuck. Ha! Got to get that bad taste out of my mouth from Craig Buster Davis. And this guy was a straight buster that you drafted out of LSU. I always tell people, be very, very wary of those LSU receivers, because those guys are very, very suspect. Those LSU receivers are dangerous. Buyer beware. There's been a lot of them, and not many of them pan out. I'm talking Michael Clayton, Buster Davis, Early Doucette. I could go on and on. The only one that has really had a solid career to this point, a really good one, is Dwayne Bowe. Be careful when you go to LSU looking for receivers. I just warn you now. But anyway, you got fleeced by Craig Buster Davis. This guy stinks. And he stunk for 2 or 3 seasons with the Chargers. They gave him opportunities. He did not get it done. It's not much more for me to say. I'm not going to continue to bag on Buster Davis. But man, was this guy a buster or what? Strikeout in 2007 for the San Diego Chargers. 2008 saw the Chargers redeem themselves with a solid pick in the corner from Arizona, Antoine Cason. Solid corner in this league. He's no longer a San Diego Charger. He's now in Arizona. Again, solid. And when you're solid, you're a double. You look at 2009, Larry English. The Chargers wish they were speaking Spanish right now, because Larry English isn't playing up to the level that they thought they were getting from this guy out of Northern Illinois. Look, you thought you were getting a guy that could get after the quarterback. You were wrong. He is not. He's a single, but barely. I'm cutting him some slack. But in 2 years, he could easily be out of the league. And in 2 years, he could easily be a strikeout. You look at 2010. Maybe the most disappointing San Diego Charger on this list, even though he's still on their team, even though he's still in the league, Ryan Matthews is a disappointment right now. Because you knew that LT was coming to the end of the line and you knew you needed a replacement. So you went and got Ryan Matthews and you said, hey, here's our guy right here. And you put on the tape and he's sticking his foot in the ground and making these incredible cuts. He's very agile, not to mention he's fast. You're thinking, we got the complete package right here all rolled up in one, just like we did with LaDainian Tomlinson. And then Ryan Matthews sets foot on the field, and all of a sudden, he's either doing one of two things. He's either A, getting injured, or B, fumbling the football. And there's no space in this league for either one of them. And so, Chargers fans have probably had it up to here. This is the level right here. Chargers fans are right about here. Ryan Matthews has one more season to get his act together. And look, he's had one outstanding year. I believe it was 2010. But other than that, his career has been marred by injuries and mistakes. So Ryan Matthews has one more shot. You only get one shot. Do not miss your chance to go because opportunity knocks once in a lifetime. He better go and make it happen in 2013. Or he might find himself going out of San Diego next season. Ryan Matthews, a single right now. You look at 2011, Corey Liuget. Wow, did this man make a huge improvement from his rookie season to his sophomore year or what? We're talking about a guy that got you one sack in his rookie campaign, turned around and got you 7 in his sophomore. Now that's what I'm talking about. That's improvement. That's a really good player. And at the defensive tackle position, that's a heck of a lot of sacks. So Corey Liuget right now is a double. But I'm telling you what, you give me another one of those type of seasons where he's a bona fide stud, and I'm elevating him to a triple right away. I like what I see out of Corey Liuget. I should give him a triple right now, but I need to see more. If he had done this or something close to it in his rookie season, say 4 sacks in his rookie season, 7 in his sophomore, he's a triple. But I saw 1 in the rookie campaign and then 7. I need to make sure that this wasn't an illusion that this guy is really that dominant. If so, he's a triple next season. But right now, he's a double. You look at 2012, Melvin Ingram. I want to give this guy something more than a single, but I can't. 1 sack, lack of production in his rookie season. Granted, he was behind 2 guys. Jarrett Johnson really wasn't healthy in 2012, but nonetheless, Jarrett Johnson on one side, Sean Phillips on the other. Hard for him to get on the field. I expect him to have a bigger role on the defense this year, and I expect Melvin Ingram to post better numbers than the ones he did in 2012. We'll see what it amounts to, but right now, Melvin Ingram is a single. And that's the San Diego Chargers draft choices in the first round in the span of 2000 to 2012. There's been some really good picks. There's been some really bad picks. All in all, you average it all together, it's a single for the San Diego Chargers over this period. You add that to the double, and by far the best double of any draft picking area in the draft thus far at 11. It says that the Chargers are supposed to draft a solid single borderline double here. And I look at it this way. If you are the San Diego Chargers and you're at 11, history says you're supposed to draft a borderline double. Let's just call it a double. Because the number 11 pick was so good in the past 13 seasons. I already told you, J.J. Watt, Patrick Willis, DeMarcus Ware, Ben Roethlisberger. all home runs at that 11 pick. So we're talking about bona fide studs at 11. Why not add your name to that list of teams drafting studs at 11? Why not get yourself a home run at 11? It's possible. You don't have to settle for that double that's there. Get a home run. Now look, I know you want to tackle. I know you want to tackle bad. But one of the big three isn't going to fall to you at 11. I can assure you of that. So you got one or two options. You either stand pat at 11 and get the next best thing, which probably in your best case scenario is a cornerback, or you can take your picks, load them up, swap them out for something in the top 5, possibly 6 at Cleveland, and go up and get your tackle. Either way, if I'm the Chargers, you got to hit it big. I'm thinking if you're San Diego, you're in no position to trade away picks. You need all the picks you can get. So either you need to stand pat, if you can draft back, but I don't see anyone wanting your pick. So in essence, stay at 11, take the best player available on your board. Hopefully it fits a need. If not, stay true to your board anyway. I think the best player on your board at 11 will also meet a need so it works out perfectly for you. It could be DeMarcus D. Milner at 11. If he's there, probably won't be, but who knows? Anything's possible. If not, Xavier Rhodes is the next best thing. You take him at 11 and you keep it moving, and that's good value at 11 if you are the San Diego Chargers. So again, go up to the plate thinking I want to make solid contact. You go up there, you let the fingers wiggle, relax your body, and you go up there and just look to make solid contact. Make a solid pick. Don't go up there shooting for the stars and the moon and go reaching for something. We've seen teams reach in the past. Reaching gets you in trouble. Just like in the NBA, reaching gets you a foul. Here in the draft, reaching can get you into trouble. Reaching gets you Jake Locker. Reaching gets you Christian Ponder. Reaching gets you Blaine Gabbert. Don't reach if you're the San Diego Chargers. Get what's there. Get a cornerback, if you're lucky, a tackle, which I doubt, but get the best value. Whatever it is, find a way to get a home run if you can. If not, settle for the double, but do not reach under any circumstances and find yourself striking out at this number 11 pick. And that's going to do it for the San Diego Chargers in the draft game.